Welcome to Italk, the programme on Euronews, where you get to ask the questions to Europe's leading decision makers. My name is Alex Taylor, and I'm here to make sure you get the answers. Your video questions this week for Guy Verhofstadt, chair of the group of the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe, here in the European Parliament. Mr. Verhofstadt, thank you very much for being our guest. Any questions? Short answers?
OK.
Let's go to the first question from France.
Hello, I'm Bérénice Guégan from Lille in France. I'd like to know how European federalism could benefit ordinary workers.
Mr. Verhofstadt, you're a great federalist, but how is this actually helping people? It's been in place for a long time.
Well, because I think that with European federalism, we could better manage the economic and financial crisis. Because the world order is now dominated by China, India, by big powers. And so we need another European big power to defend our interests. So to defend our interests against what is coming up in the next decades, you need European unity. So, and that helps the normal people to defend their welfare and their position.
I have to ask you, you're a former Prime Minister of Belgium. It hasn't really worked in Belgium, the whole country.
No, it had always worked in Belgium. It's only recently that now they are not capable to make one. The real interest of the country is to make the fastest as possible their government, because on the short term there are no problems, but on the midterm we don't do for the moment the necessary reforms.
Right, we have a question which is going to interest a lot of people from Germany.
Hello, Mr. Verhofstadt. My name's Christian and I'm from Germany. I'd like to know if you think Greece can be saved. What can Europeans do to save Greece? And was the introduction of the euro a mistake?
Vast questions, but the Germans don't believe in the euro anymore. It's starting to become a bit of a
I don't think so
problem.
that the Germans don't believe in the euro. I think the majority of the Germans still believe in the euro because it's in their interest. It's because of the euro and the introduction of the euro that they have enormous good economic results now. And what was not the case in the past.
What are we going to do about Greece?
But Greece has to be solved. And to solve the Greek crisis, we need, first of all, efforts by the Greek people. That's necessary. Bolder reforms, bolder savings, because there is a problem of public expenditure in that country. I think also an effort of the bondholders, because they have now in their portfolios bad Greek bonds, and that is creating instabilities on the financial market. So I think we need to swap that in more secure, stable AAA euro bonds in the future.
Another question from a new member country in the European Union.
My name is Laura and I'm from Latvia, and I would like to know how to foster European Union's role in future in the world and how to ensure that it speaks with one voice.
It's clear we need to do a number of things. First of all, let's try maybe to have one seat in the International Monetary Fund, so that on monetary matters we speak with one voice. Try to do the same thing in the UN, United Nations. Try to develop a European defence policy. It's only then that we shall count on the world.
Well, why haven't we got it? We've been trying to do this for 60 years.
For the simple reason that our political leaders want to continue to be involved in all this. Foreign policy is still a question of 27 ministers of foreign affairs, and that doesn't work. What I expect is a little bit more initiative and courage of Cathy Ashton. Why she's always waiting, what happened in Libya, on Syria, why she's always waiting for an agreement between the 27 ministers of foreign affairs.
You could say the same thing about Mr. Van Rompuy as well.
But exactly. So I think that these European leaders that we have elected need to have the courage to take the lead and not to wait, first of all, an agreement of Paris, Berlin, London, or the other capitals of the European Union.
Guy Verhofstadt, a question from one of your compatriots.
Hello, my name's Charles and I live in Brussels. My question is about Europe. I see a lot of deep dissatisfaction around me. I see prices rising. What can Europe do socially to help all European citizens?
Isn't this just our problem? We're expecting too much. How can Europe possibly answer all those problems?
No, but Europe can create the stability. I think that it's only Europe that can give the necessary pressure to do the reforms in the different countries, because we know in our pension systems, in our labor markets, in our fiscal and tax system, we need a number of reforms to modernize ourselves, and that is only possible with enough pressure from the European level.
Une question française.
Hello, my name is Hakim and I live in Paris. I'd like to know what reform you propose to fight certain MEPs' poor attitudes.
Isn't it difficult in the current times to remain a committed European? That's basically what he's asking.
No. I think in the European Parliament there is a huge majority of hardworking what we call members of parliament who are really believing in the future of Europe. Now we had some difficulties with some members of parliament who were paid by pressure groups, and that was a problem. The fact that we were working, our work was not enough transparent. And not enough independent. And so we have taken now a number of measures to secure that. But mainly, I don't think there is a problem with the European Parliament. There is maybe not enough European Parliament, or to say it in another way, not enough European democracy. What we need is the possibility for the citizens to penalize their European leaders and their European members of the European Parliament, and also maybe a direct link between the citizens and the European institutions by a direct system of financing the European Union, so that the citizen has a direct say in what is happening here in Brussels.
A citizen from outside Europe, but who lives right here in the capital of European affairs.
Could you please make an effort to urge your colleagues to reduce drug abuse in this continent? If access to drug in schools in Europe continues to be so easy, my country, Mexico, will continue to pile up corpses.
It's very clear that a good organized control on the external borders of the European Union is far more effective than to reintroduce national border control in the 27 countries, not only for drug trafficking, also for trafficking of human beings, of illegal migration. It's an enormous mistake what is happening now for the moment, what you see in Italy, in France, in Denmark, for example, national governments who are reintroducing national border controls, because that shall create enormous trouble for the many citizens in Europe who want to travel. And at the other side, it's far less effective than a good organized external border control.
One final question, Guy Verhofstadt. You're obviously a very committed European. How do you keep the faith? What's your recipe to keep the faith in the European dream? Difficult
simply
at the moment.
No, I see what is happening in the world. I see, for example, what's happening in China, India. I think that the G8, for example, within 30 years, that shall be a G8 of the US, Japan, China, India, Russia, Brazil, Mexico, and Indonesia. There's a G8 of tomorrow. And in this G8, Europe shall not play any role if we continue to do it separately. And my belief is that we need a real integrated Europe to overcome our problems. A few days ago, it was Mr. Lipsky, that's the chief now, temporarily, of the International Monetary Fund. And he criticized the European leaders, saying, why are you always talking and talking? You have to act. You have to create a real political and economic union. And then you can protect the wealth in Europe. So if somebody of the other side of the Atlantic believes in Europe, why should we not believe in Europe?
Thank you very much indeed, Guy Verhofstadt. That was Italk. If you want to know who will be our next guest and ask your questions, you can go to our site. That's Euronews I-Talk. You'll find it. See you next time from the European Parliament here in Brussels.